How you Dune? Dune or Dune not? There is no try. Without further ado, here's my review. Hello everyone and welcome to the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I am Dylan Randazzo. As you can tell by my ridiculous opening and the thumbnail and description of this video, I am talking about Denis Villeneuve's new film, Dune. Now this is a very wildly anticipated movie that I've been waiting for so long, that a lot of people have been waiting for so long. I am not even a fan of the source material. I've never read it. I've never seen the David Lynch film, but Denis Villeneuve's name itself is enough to intrigue me to anything he does. But to hear that Denis Villeneuve was going to take on such a gigantic, monstrous book and adapt it to the screen in a new sci-fi epic, like, I was so excited. This was my highest anticipated film of the entire year. So I'm very excited to talk about Dune because, as you can tell with the smile on my face, I really enjoyed this movie. The plot of Dune is a little bit hard to explain if you haven't read the book, but I haven't read the book, so I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. Dune follows protagonist Paul, played by Timothée Chalamet. Dune follows a similar path to a lot of different heroes' journeys. It is set in the far future, where there is this dangerous desert planet, Arrakis, which has a very valuable spice. It's a very powerful substance. It almost acts as a drug that gives you this extreme power of superhuman thought. It extends your lifetime. It's a very powerful drug. Paul's father, played by Oscar Isaac, accepts a stewardship on this dangerous planet, although he does know that there are dangers that lie ahead. Some dangers are unbeknownst to him, but some dangers are known, such as these giant sandworms that, live beneath the surface of this sandy planet. Oscar Isaac's character, as well as Timothée Chalamet, and Timothée Chalamet's mother in the film, played by Rebecca Ferguson, they travel to this planet, and you basically see the dangers that await them and how they navigate this new space. I don't want to go too much further into the plot. If you've read the book, you know what happens and what ensues. What impressed me first and foremost about Dune is just how grand it is. I mean, it really is a spectacle first and foremost. It is capital C cinema at its finest. I mean, every single frame of this is just breathtaking. Denis Villeneuve has gotten bigger and bigger with every single film, but this feels like just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this really is one of the most finely crafted, well-directed pieces of entertainment I've seen in recent memory. Obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you know just how expansive and immersive this world is. What Denis Villeneuve does so interestingly, though, is that he's able to capture such big moments and such grand spectacle, but he's also able to hone it in and focus on some intricate details as well, like the actual presence of the spice and the small grains of sand in the air. I mean, like, that stuff is so impressive because it shows just a great range, but no matter how big or small the image is, it still has some sort of impact because of the way it's framed, because of the way it's executed. Denis Villeneuve said in the Q&A that he wanted to do as much practical work as he could, and it definitely shows. I mean, these sets look like they are alive. There is some definite visual effects at use, but it didn't seem like it was so reliant on green screen, which a lot of big blockbusters, especially sci-fi films, tend to lean toward, and I really appreciate how Denis Villeneuve wanted to go old school. He said he was inspired when he saw Lawrence of Arabia on the big screen when he was younger. It inspired him to tell stories at the biggest medium possible. I know Dune was a big topic of conversation when it was announced that it would be going day-to-date streaming on HBO Max, and some of the comments that Villeneuve made about it, and I have to agree with him that this film feels like it is tailor-made for the big screen. Obviously, if you cannot get to a theater, you're gonna watch it at home, that's fine, but I think if you have the option, you really should seek it out in a theater because it is something that just engulfs you with its size, with its spectacle. It feels like, in terms of the aesthetic and the actual way it's presented on the screen, it feels like a Lord of the Rings, like a Star Wars, like The Matrix, like Mad Max Fury Road. These big films that want to be seen like an event, like you want to be in a filled, packed house while watching it. And that is the most impressive aspect of Dune, is just how cinematic it feels, especially given this whole year how we've had to watch a lot of stuff at home, and now to be able to witness this in a theater and hear the sounds booming throughout, it's quite impressive.
But everything important happens when we're awake.
Speaking of the sound, I think Hans Zimmer's score here is absolutely stunning. Hans Zimmer is one of the greatest working composers alive, and it's honestly a shame that he only has one Oscar to his name. Obviously, it's a great film, The Lion King. The score is absolutely beautiful, but he's done so many great scores after that that I wish had been recognized. Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of Christopher Nolan's work, including The Dark Knight, Interstellar. He is such an amazing composer, and I think he really understands the piece. I think some composers are told, like, this is the tone of the film, this is the genre. go make a score. But it seems like Hans Zimmer has really done the work to really digest the material and understand the underlying themes, and not just the tone of the piece, but understanding the different moods of the characters and what the characters are going through. Hans Zimmer just has a great grasp on this source material. Both Hans Zimmer and Denis Villeneuve at the Q&A said that they had been fans of this book from a very, very young age, and when they read this book for the first time, in their heads they were painting a picture of what the movie they would like to make would look like. And it wasn't until Denis Villeneuve hired Hans Zimmer where they started talking about the film and they realized that in their heads, they were imagining the same film. And I think that's just so beautiful. When a composer can really do the work to understand the source material, to know exactly what type of tone he wants to convey through every ounce of the film, rather than just honing it in and saying, oh, it's a big sci-fi epic adventure story, here you go, here's a score, take it and use it. I think he really thought through every single beat of this story, and that's what really shines through about his score. It is daunting, it is epic, it fills the room to the point where you feel your seats vibrating with the amount of resonance this score has. But I think without the score, I don't know how successful the film is. Obviously it looks gorgeous, but the score really acts as its own character. I'd say next to Timothée Chalamet, the score is the next biggest character in this film. The score really elevates every single moment of this thing. What's also so impressive about Hans Zimmer is that the actual instruments he's using don't feel like anything you've heard before, and it's because Hans Zimmer said he has friends who help him construct brand new instruments. He looks at the time period the movie's set in. He sees that this movie's set in the far, far future, and he says, well, we wouldn't be using horns, we wouldn't be using the typical string instruments like violins and cellos and stuff like that, we wouldn't be using pianos. By that time, hundreds and thousands of years in the future, especially given the circumstances of this planet, he was trying to think about what types of instruments would be used in this film, and he said he literally created instruments from scratch that he could use in this film to make it seem like it was being played by the instruments of that time. And I think that is just so incredible. The fact that he was able to really piece through exactly what this film was and where it took place and kind of the culture of the people in the film and transform his score around that. And I know I've gone on for a while about the score, but it is just so breathtaking and amazing to see the work Hans Zimmer has put in. This is going to be a monumental moment for Hans Zimmer's career. As for the story itself, it is your typical hero's journey, but I think because of the visuals, because of the score, because of everything Denis Villeneuve and Hans Zimmer are doing here in tandem with one another, I think it does set itself apart from other hero's journeys. You know, it doesn't feel as predictable, and there are some big moments throughout that will surprise the audiences that don't know the source material. Even those who know the source material, I've heard they are very, very pleased with what they're seeing. Denis Villeneuve has said this is very much a part one, and assuming this does well at the box office, he will then be able to fund and make part two. I was worried that because it was part one of two, I was worried it would feel a little incomplete, but it really doesn't. It feels like a very satisfying end, even though there is so much room now to explore further. I think it does end in a really cool spot that does seem fulfilling for the arc of this specific film. I think of like Hunger Games and how the first part of that movie felt like it had just abruptly ended and, you know, wanted to go that extra mile but felt a little bit halted in the middle of the action. And I think this film, though, really does feel complete and concluded, and like you have a good amount of closure while still having that open door to go further with the story if and when, assuming audiences go to see it, it makes enough money so Denis Villeneuve can make the second part of his passion project. And because it's a part one, it doesn't feel like any of the narrative is sacrificed. I think if they had made 1 3-hour film, there's a lot of stuff that would have been cut, but it feels, because you were able to focus on just one part of the whole, it seems like nothing from the book really got cut.
Smile, Gurney. I am smiling.
The only negative I really have to say about Dune is because it is based on such a rich, high-concept novel, I think some of the names of things got a little lost, some of the names of different places and different concepts, and just some of the banter between people. Like, I think I missed maybe 10 to 15% of the dialogue. Some of it kind of fell under the radar for me. I think it might just be my own personal hearing, you know, sitting where I was sitting in the theater, but I definitely want to watch this movie, maybe again with subtitles, to really soak in every single ounce of lore. This reminds me of Lord of the Rings. When I first saw it, I was just blown away with it, but there were so many different concepts. I was like, wait, where is that place? What is that place? What is that creature? What is that planet? All that stuff. I know there's not different planets in Lord of the Rings, but you know what I mean. Here, it kind of felt the same way, where I was so astounded by what I was seeing seeing, but I just need to watch it again just to be able to process all of what I was hearing. And I really, really think that's what's so great about Dune, is that it begs for repeat viewings, but even though it feels so long, like, I really do want to just jump right back in and see it again. I have to wait a few weeks till it is in theaters for everyone to see, but I really can't wait to see it again, because I think it's one of those films that feels like it was the epic made for that generation. And I think this is one of those epics that is going to stand the test of time, because again, the practicalness of the effects, none of these effects are going to feel dated 10, 20 years from now like some things in Star Wars prequels do. And this is filled with a plethora of amazing stars. I haven't even talked about the acting because there's just so much to talk about otherwise, but I really like this cast. Timothée Chalamet is a great leading man. You know, we've seen him do so many indie works that to see him do a big blockbuster, I was a little bit worried, but he totally stepped into those shoes very, very well.
Hey, you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
Josh Brolin is great in a supporting role. Jason Momoa is incredible. Javier Bardem is great. Zendaya. There are so many great performances here, but my standouts were definitely Chalamet. I loved Oscar Isaac in this. I love Rebecca Ferguson. And another standout for me was Sharon Duncan Brewster, who I hadn't really seen in a lot of work, but was really, really great here and has one of my favorite moments in the film. Like I said, I recommend seeing it in the biggest screen you can. If you have to watch it at home, though, I still think you should watch it. Maybe watch it with subtitles, because that's the way I wish I could have seen it the first time, just to soak in all the different stuff going on in its script. But I really, really do recommend you seeing this.
It's time.
If you've seen this film already, what did you think of this film? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't, are you excited for it? When you do see it, let me know in the comments. We're still in the midst of spooky season, so head to my Letterboxd, Dylan_Randazzo, where you can find all my reviews for my 31 days of Halloween, where I've been going every day and watching a horror or spooky film that suits this time of year. And also make sure to subscribe to check out all the stuff on my channel. I got a lot of great things, from reality television to Marvel and all the different movie reviews and other media things along the way. I'm counting Dune the days till I can see Dune again. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.